And I know of a sailor. I know of a sailor. I know of a sailor returned by the sea, scoured, the drag of the sand on his skin, the lifting of legs by the truculent wave, drawing him out to the wash, pushing him back to the land, swinging from side into side, as numb as the water that slides from his back, or the rock that rides in his heart. He is spread on the beach, in the brine and the sand, crustaceans clamping his lip and his tongue. As welcome as salt is the breath in his mouth. He is lying as deep in the sand as in air, as a stone he lies, with the surge pulling back to relinquish its holds, dragging the soak from his rags, leaving him gripped by the shore. The movement to stand is as slow as a mountain's stretch. His head remains bowed to the sand. His legs dig beneath, find knees, then feet, then lift the whole weight into giddy dismay and retreat. Stillness just offers imbalance to limbs set for motion. The belly still slaps to the sides. But towering now in the sway of his crow's nest head, he grapples the shore, land, ho. And placing his soul on the slope, on the strand, it is he who tilts, not the sea or the sky. Vision goes reeling as stars used to do in the cambering deep. He sinks to the ground as the drop of a wave, left with no thing to lift him but self. Relaunched, he throws limbs to each side like a fierce rack of oars to distance his hulk from the rock, to keep his keel even beneath. At his feet, the sand, once stained by the sea, lies pallid and drained by a lowering tide, pretending virginity. Smooth and untouched, with his step it groans as he places his weight and breaks into cracks, throws each step backward, tugged into gravity's constant ebb. But up where the wave cannot reach, he sees the trace of another, of footprints far smaller than his and unbooted, walking unsteady, unused it may be to unclenching sea, walking across the sand to the road. She, it must be, who rose from the deep with a glitter of scale and a cradling hand to draw him undrowned from the water, to carry him back to the shore. Caught in a stream unfurled, he follows once more. The way from the sea is hard and ungiving, still, rolling still, across a landlocked crest, with a drop sharp and fell from a sea bitten down. The high rocks refuse to be whipped by the gale, won't fall into dips, till the 100,000th tide has been turned, shown its twice-faced back, so the more high-browed gazes down upon the sea. On a track made sunken by the tread of sheep, he drops to a trough, rises up across a ridge to be hit by the wind, feels the scream of the sail bent and cracking of his own bowed back. But the grip of the road keeps his heel ingrained, and the pull of the earth is to paths trod before, to the heights overlooking the harbouring shore, to the cobs, to the streets, to the homes of the town, leaves him there to look down at a much charted land, nothing altered but peeling, all the work of his hand, sees the roof, sees the door, sees the meadow once more, sees the net towers looming and the ferryman's store, sees the harbour beyond, arms sunken with stone, sees the house, sees his children alive, with his wife at the window, salt-sanded, hair-crusted, alone, unseen, uncaught. In the trawlerman's tower he moors himself under the nets, left to dry from their high hooks hanging, and dropping himself into full depths of shadow, exhausted. His dreams have a stillness unknown, never thought on in thought, never felt in a heart beating this side of dying. Further into shadow he gathers his wreckage, into darkness made deeper by the brightness of day. When his sight is caught by the glint of some mystery, sparks in the dark draw his gaze like a hook to a shimmer left hanging from a deep-set beam. Dust cannot cover it, or drown out the colours. Darkness cannot bury it, nor cloud the spark. A lightness of scale, iridescent in its slumber, the tail of a mermaid draped slightly over bark. And I know of a sailor with heart made of oak, all broken to splinters and wrecked on the sea, stood speared by a rising wave of memory. Abroad on the land, on the grit-spitting land, on the dust and the thorn, on the pull of the ground and the grind of the dirt, a mermaid walks, or stumbles, or falls, the water within, but drying, but dying, but forced into crying wet lines from her eyes for a taste of the sea. A dream of the sea now drawn from the sea, to crack its pebble-smooth skin into shards, wave-combed hair now lost from its dance, undrenched, dragged down like kale weather-vaned, lost to the freedom to swim all directions, shackled to the freedom to fall or to walk, new ruts in the road, no currents, only talk. High-flung songs dragged back on a sad tide, whip cracks sharp on a mutineer's back. Tide after tide would come, had come, where once had been restless, endless swirl of eternal ocean. Salt is released from the water and breaks into grain upon grain, tide and time, and sand and dust and falling grime, skin thinned out into loose weave net, hair bleached grey, blood pooled into veins, and the weight on legs and the weight of legs, ox-bowed spine and the high breast tumbling, teeth worn yellow long, clear vision misted, tight wound torn by the carrying and stretching, blood on the bed, on the thigh, and in the end, drying. The bay had been empty so long he'd forgotten, or the tempests and storms of an earlier time, the wind-driven voyage, and the following laughter, the flash, blue and green, and the shy-away smile, diamond drops that had poured in his hand and had never poured out. Streams spilled over his lips and his chin in a glimmering kiss, curls that ran fully free in his fingers. This mermaid, this being of water, this giver of son and of daughter, seeing her netted in time and now knowing why he'd wrecked the ship. He could not bear to watch her die. A question at the door, suspicious ajar. Light from the outside steps in, soft steps soon eclipsed by a shade as she enters the long locked tower and looks at the nets draping down. The dust they have caught over so many moons has been tampered with, signs of a stranger. Her eyes have grown tired of light, and her ears, though tied to the cries of her children, are still not accustomed to air, have silted up quite. Dry shadow all around, not feeling his heat, nor hearing his heart. The fear of a thief bitten back makes us start with soft, quiet steps on the faraway ground to walk to the hiding place never yet found. Relief and regret, equal matched, leave no trace, but its beams light the weather lines frowned on her face, taking up that she'd forsook from the sea. Not the mermaid, but the mother of his children 3, clasping her fish's tail, a long-harboured dream. I was a mermaid once, too, and you loved me. Thank you.